I'm going to return to an old favorite program for this presentation, Google Earth, which is after having spent my last presentation disrespecting the ArcGIS Earth program, which was an attempt to bring the Earth type interface into the Esri ArcGIS world, which failed. I'm going to go back and show more about Google Earth, and I'm going to focus in this presentation on the native spatial data format of Google Earth, and that's something called KML, which stands for Keyhole Markup Language, a designation for this format which goes way back in history. So this is on my directory here is a very simple KML file which you have probably clicked on many times in various directly or indirectly in your doings with this course and in other settings. I can right click on this as with any other file and ask for it to be opened directly in Google Earth, and it will automatically start the Google Earth program and display me something in the Google Earth view. In this case, it's a very simple file because I want to actually show you the internal format of this. It's nothing more than a placemaker, a place marker that identifies New York City, and I think that's an intersection right near City Hall, which is often considered the if you have to pick a point in New York that represents it, City Hall is often often what's used. And so this is a very simple data set. It does direct the user to a particular location, and at that location one can see the view of Manhattan, the particular point that we want to highlight and view, and all of these wonderful 3D buildings, more of which we'll talk about later, but it directs us to New York. Well, let's look at, and that's common. Many times a web page will offer you a web-based look at a map or view in Google Earth by giving you a KML, and clicking on it will direct you to a point with a label and maybe a little information, the ability to compute directions. I wonder if this would be interesting to do, and I can ask it to compute directions for me, a built-in option, and I'm not going to go and I'm not going to go there. I can use get directions here. All of these things come built in with Google Earth, so there's a lot of good stuff that gets, such as all these tools and abilities, that gets inherited when one is directed and sent to the Google Earth application and sent to a particular location with some content. This content can be place markers, it can be route markings, it can be polygons marking things up, or even 3D models, as we'll see later. So this is the basic type of KML file in use. And momentarily, I'm gonna close Google Earth, ask it not to save what I've done, or else it'll actually keep track of all the different things I've done and make too big of a application, which I don't want to do. We can also look at this KML file. It's not magic, and it's not a locked format or a proprietary format. We can actually look at it, and we can open it with an editor called Notepad++, which is a text editor, but it has enhancements that allow it to be used as a program or database development environment. Notepad, if you ever do actual computer work and ever write a computer program or work in a data format like KML, this is an indispensable product. It's a free product which will do much more than a text editor, which just lets you look at a file as raw text. This provides interpretation skip that, and as we see here, the editor allows a whole bunch of controls and toolbars, which is a whole nother course, learning how to use a development environment, this would be called, to choose, for instance, what language, like Fortran or Python or a variety of other languages. If we're writing programs in Pascal or Fortran, there are substantial numbers of assistance features in this that help us edit it. In the case of a KML file, it is interpreted this right off the bat, and it realizes I have a comment, I have some other stuff, and at first glance this type of a file might seem intimidating, but with a little bit of practice one recognizes what's the meat in this file and what is just the decoration and routine, always used stuff. There's always a begin document, end document, begin KML, end KML, and then subgroups. And the subgroup that is of relevance here, I'm highlighting, is the place marker, which is at a particular coordinate, and it has a particular label. And what I'm going to do is demonstrate that it is very possible and very easy to actually go into and change this particular format to have different labeling, different information, different displays, and place my label at a different location. And I'm going to just type in a location which I have previously gone and decided where I would want this to go using other GIS tools. I found a coordinate that's actually in my neighborhood, and I will just type in that coordinate. Hard to type and talk at the same time. 0436. And so I've just changed this, and I can go ahead and say save, and it'll resave my example. And now my intention is that instead of going to New York City and placing a place marker near City Hall in New York, and with a certain labeling, it'll put a placemaker in my neighborhood, call it Hilton, and place it actually where I want it, at that location. So I've now saved this, and I will leave the program and just edit it. Yes, one useful thing is to check and make sure that the file did save correctly. It just saved at the same time. So confident my editing was correct, and I will now open with Google Earth again, and I will expect this to travel to not New York City anymore, but now I have created a new place marker, a new tool, which will place this marker in my neighborhood. Well, vaguely my neighborhood. It's a cornfield that hasn't been developed yet in the vicinity of my neighborhood. So what I've demonstrated with this example is that the KML format is not actually terribly mysterious, and it's actually very easy to work with, both editing it to make changes and creating something new and adding features to a document like this, or as some very smart people do, is to actually write a program that will automatically generate a KML file that contains the GIS data to be displayed in Google Earth. For instance, someone might want to take a list of the addresses of all of the of a certain type of thing, such as all of the school district headquarters in New York State, and actually then write an automated program in Fortran or Python or some programming language that would generate a file like this automatically that would include all that information, which could then be exported into Google Earth. So it's a form of what I'm doing here is I'm showing you additional control that one has over the mapping process. So that'll end this one. I'll move on to something even better in the next video.